RX Television on RxMuscle.com. This is Ask Dave, better known as hashtag Ask Dave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. Dave's about to tell you about our Ask Dave promo of the week. I'm Sadiq Faruqi. This is your 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. All your questions on diet, training, supplementation, IFBB pros, competitions. Of course, the Arnold Classic is less than a month away in Columbus, Ohio, kicking off the 2018 contest seasons. We now bring in Dave Palumbo. Dave, a lot going on right now. We mentioned the Ask Dave special of the week. Talk to us about that, as well as Heavy Muscle TV being rebooted.
Yeah, well, we ran a little promo code for the Ask Dave viewership last week, and it was very successful. A lot of people, loved it. I got good feedback from it. So this week we're featuring our Amino Evolved product. It's our fermented amino acid product that I have to go on record. I've been going to the store and I've been buying other people's amino acids formulas, and I got to be honest with you, most of them taste really bad. They're really bad. We have our blue raspberry amino evolved is so good you don't even taste the amino acids in it. And believe me, if you don't have a good flavoring system in your amino acid formula, it tastes terrible. It tastes like battery acid. Not only that, obviously we're using fermented aminos. It's a great delivery system. I think you'll find it mixes easy. You can drink them whenever you want, pretty much. Like I said, I don't recommend you use them 6 times a day when you're dieting, but certainly off season they're a good way to supplement amino acids throughout the day. And we're going to be offering 25% off on if you use the coupon code on checkout, AE25, and that's only going to be what, Sid, till Sunday?
Till Sunday night, 11:59 p.m.
All right, so guys, don't wait on that. As far as the Heavy Muscle TV reboot, we had gotten 100 episodes a couple of years ago, or maybe a year and a half ago, before we left New York. And I believe we did one more show, and then I hadn't really focused on it because I didn't have my whack pack in studio. I didn't have my Jimmy the Bull with me and all these people, so we kind of were focusing on our other programming. And I said, you know what? So many people have been asking me since we had the Big Lenny interview to reboot the Heavy Muscle TV show, where we kind of just talk about whatever we want, whatever topics come up. We have interesting characters on, all interacting with each other, and so I believe it's going to go live when, Sid? Today?
No. Tomorrow. Well, yeah, tomorrow being Thursday. So Thursday afternoon, keep an eye out. Dave, talk to us about the panel, the all-star ensemble you assembled for this show.
Big Lenny, Boston Lloyd, Greg Valentino, and John Romano, as well as myself, of course. And you know what? I didn't even get 2 words in. I was just basically acting as the moderator because these guys were so good. We threw out a lot of great topics we were talking about. It was very funny. Probably racist, probably prejudicial, probably will insult a million people, but it was real. As Lenny would say, it certainly wasn't cookie cutter. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the feedback on the show is. If it's good, we'll do it again. And I think that it's a fun panel. I know Jimmy the Bull will probably be joining us for future shows. And like I said, we're always trying to bring you new programming here on RxMuscle.com, and it looks like Heavy Muscle's back.
Let's go to the questions. If you want to join us, you can join us on the official RxMuscle.com Muscle Central Forum, on our Instagram page, Facebook page, or tweeting at us using hashtag AskDave. Let's go first to Nick the Dream Edgy. Dave, can you get Samir Bannout on live with his bodybuilding perspective on being, quote, wasted is interesting?
I talk to Samir all the time. We actually had Samir do the wrap-up with us at this past year's Olympia in 2017, and he was great. He's not a young guy anymore, but he's got good insights. He understands the sport of bodybuilding. He's one of these guys that loves bodybuilding. He was always a bodybuilder. And yeah, we'll definitely get him on. I like to get him on when there's a hot topic out there because he's a very strong opinion and he doesn't care who he pisses off or insults. So if we have a hot topic out there that I think that will do well, I'll get Samir on. Maybe we'll put him on Iron Debate because he's good like that. He likes to argue with people. And he's, like I said, he's very strong-minded about his opinion.
Fitnessman81, Dave, did you ever used to do weighted dips and pull-ups when competing? What do you think of these exercises?
I got so heavy, when I was competing and off-season that I didn't need to do weighted dips or weighted pull-ups. I weighed enough. I actually weighed too much at one point, and I couldn't even do pull-ups anymore because, when I would go over 300 pounds, I couldn't pull my body weight up. And then, on dips, usually I wait enough to get a decent workout. I'm not really, I never really was a dip fanatic, to be honest with you. I found that exercises like dips and like even push-ups require a lot of stabilization, and I don't think you're not going to build much muscle doing those. I think that when I would do heavy tricep movements or heavy chest movements, I want a little bit more stability in the movement. And it might just be because I have, my joints were always like a little, iffy, so to speak. Even when they were good, they were still, I didn't like those joints where there was too much movement. And that's because I have a lot of movement in my joints, which is why I'm flexible, which is not all, but it's not good when you're doing heavy weight, because then you get a lot of friction and rubbing on the joints. See, everyone's different. I also have very long arms, so for someone with long arms, it's hard to do, dips. You got a guy with short arms, they could dip all day long, and they actually get good growth out of it. So, not everyone's body is made to do every exercise, and you have to understand and identify that what works for your body and what doesn't. Don't just do an exercise because everyone else does it. If you don't feel it and you're getting injured from it, then it's not benefiting you.
Steel Light 247, is it okay to consume less than 1,000 calories while still getting a high amount of protein? Because I've been eating only tilapia and green beans while I'm trying to cut.
I mean, you could do it. I mean, I wouldn't do it for extended periods of time. I've had guys that are behind in their prep and they're just not losing weight, and I put them on protein and vegetables, and I don't put them on it for 6 weeks. It's just too much. And what I find is if you're putting them on that and they're not cheating and they're still not losing weight, then their metabolism is completely shut down. And when that happens, you have to kind of do the opposite. You have to do what's counterintuitive. You have to feed them more, get them out of that metabolic slump, get that metabolism going again, and then you can bring them down again. So you might have to give them give them more food and then bring them down low for several days. Give them more food, and you got to play that game sometimes. So everyone's different. That's why as far as coaching is concerned, you have to have instincts. You have to know when to do these things. You have to know when to pull the trigger. You have to know when to say, okay, enough is enough. The experiment's not going well, and that's why it's great to have a coach. That's why it's great to learn how to be a coach. And I don't want to just belliger this, but I'm teaching this Secrets to Becoming a Diet Guru course on February 24th here in Cape Coral in 3 weeks. And you guys, it might behoove you guys to come down and take the course, because you're going to learn how to make the right decisions. Not only going to learn about nutrition and diet and supplements and drugs, you're going to learn how to apply them and how to take away food, add food, increase cardio, decrease cardio, make the right decisions. And there's a science to that, as well as there's an experience factor, but there is a science to that.
It's a good friend of the show, Ahmet Akinci. We met him at the Olympia a couple of times. Says he's been watching our shows since he was a native of Turkey. Wants to know, who is the IFBB Pro undercover, if you know this, who was posting on bodybuilding.com. Craig Titus accused Paul Dillette. Some people think it was Nasser. What do you think?
Yeah, I've been asked this question for the last 15 years. I have no idea. I don't really even care. It was probably I don't even think it was a pro. I think it was just some regular guy, and he was being an imposter. People love to create mystery. If it was a real pro, he would just say who he was. He wouldn't care. Why would he create this persona for himself and then not even get the publicity out of it, not even get the benefit of having people, to make money off of it? So I don't believe it's a pro.
Wolf of Essex, Dave, when in prep, what do you prefer your clients do? Cheat meals consisting of dirty foods like a burger and fries, or refeed days consisting of low-fat, high-carb meals like chicken and white rice? Also, do you recommend that they make more or less frequent the closer you get to a show?
Chicken with rice is really not a cheat meal. It's kind of a clean carb meal. When I start off a diet with people, I give them cheat meals, where they could actually, they have to eat protein in the meal, but they can pretty much eat whatever they want. Where they want to go for sushi, they want to go for, Italian food, they want to go for pizza, they want to go for Italian food. This is pizza. They want to go Chinese food. They want to go for McDonald's. When we get close to the show, sometimes when people overdo the cheat meal and they're not losing weight, especially women, I have to then give them a clean cheat meal, which is really not a cheat meal. It's really a carb day, and I kind of design what they're going to eat. Maybe I'll give them 25, 30 grams of carbs for 3 or 4 meals out of a specific day of the week to spike their metabolism, because I know if they're going to, left to their own devices, they're going to eat too much, or they're going to eat too much junk, and it's going to set them back too far. So there is a cheat meal, and then people use the word refeed meal. Refeed meal would probably be a good term for a cleaner carb meal, whereas a cheat meal is kind of like a dirtier carb meal.
Steve Fletch, best diuretic to take before a show?
Diazide. No doubt.
Miguelito Hudson, what do you think has the most potential to cross over divisions and actually make an impact? He gives the example of Chris Bumstead eventually transitioning to open, whether it's, and then he goes on to name the different ones, Physique, Classic, 212, so on and so forth. What do you think is more practical crossover, if there is one?
Well, I think the taller guys would cross over better because they're obviously going to fit into the size, configuration that we have in the open, division. Think about it. If a guy who's a classic physique guy who weighs 176 pounds crosses over into the open, even to the 212 division, they're going to get crushed because they're too small. But a guy like a Bumstead who's already in the 200s, and he's 6 foot something, he's more, able to stand on stage structurally with these other guys. He's big. He's got a big frame. He's got good muscle belly, small waist. He's going to do way better than a shorter guy is going to do on an open stage. And that's just the way it is, because let's face it, in the open division, it's a size game. Even in the 212 division, most guys from Classic wouldn't be able to cross over because those guys in the 212 are short, okay, but they weigh a lot. And the guys in Classic that are short have to weigh a little bit. So the only real successful guys will be the taller guys who weigh a lot because of the fact that they're tall and they can weigh a lot in the Classic division. And like I said, I'm thinking about the Chris Bumsteads of the division. Those guys would probably do well in the open.
Red Zradsky, Dave, you normally suggest protein every 2 to 3 hours in meals of 5 to 8 per day. When we sleep at night, why isn't it important to consume protein during the hours that you sleep? Technically, when we sleep, it is like intermittent fasting, which you also do not agree with during a cut cycle or bulk for that matter. Is there any benefit to taking an extra protein shake midway through the night when we get up to use the bathroom?
When I was in my growth stage, of putting muscle on, I used to wake up twice during the night and drink protein shakes. I would drink a Metrex shake, which I think at the time was like about 37 or 40 grams of protein, and I would have an Ultra Fuel. I would have 100 grams of carbs in there in the middle of the night. Twice I would do that. Now most people do that, they get fat, but I had a really fast metabolism. When you're dieting, you don't want to do that. It's hard to stay asleep for more than 6 or 8, 7 hours anyway when you're dieting because you want to wake up and eat. But I wouldn't say eat in the middle of the night, because in the middle of the night, your body is kind of repairing itself. It's repairing itself. It's priming your hormones for the morning. It's getting rid of toxic waste. It's flushing itself. And that's really what when we're dieting, we want the body to kind of survive off stored body fat. Even though you might wake up a little hungry, that's fine. Remember, the goal is not putting on muscle when you're dieting. It's maintaining muscle mass while maximizing fat burning. So if you were to take a shake in the middle of the night, you'd probably sabotage some of your weight loss, and we don't want to do that in a dieting scenario.
Benadu 14, would you ever have someone using T3 pre-contest on every other day or 1 to 2 times per week dosing schedule?
I probably wouldn't do that, because I think what you'd get is you'd start getting uneven levels of thyroid hormone. And remember, the body likes to be regular. I think it would be detrimental, because when you're taking T3, your body's not going to produce as much of its own T3. So on the days you're not taking the T3, you're going to be low. And then on the days you're taking it, you'll be higher. So once again, this type of thing doesn't usually work good in the body. You would think, well, maybe it'll shock the body. But no, because some days you're going to have a low metabolism, some days you're going to have a higher metabolism. That's why not have if you're taking Cytomel, you want your metabolism high all the time. So, yeah, I wouldn't go to every other day.
So we had Big Lenny on, of course, last week on Live With. We have him coming on the reboot of Heavy Muscle TV, which is going to be available tomorrow on rxmuscle.com and the RX Muscle YouTube channel. And we noticed that a lot of his followers and fans are now watching our content, so of course we appreciate that. Question, though, from Scooz, because you discussed this in your episode of Live With. Have you and Lenny developed a plan to shrink his stomach? If so, what's the game plan?
Yeah, I told you I'm going to bring his stomach down 10 inches. That's a bold statement, but I'm going to get him down 10 inches. I'm not going to tell you all my techniques because I got to keep some secrets out there, but I will tell you this. I got him on Fiberlize. He loves it. He's going to the bathroom like he never has before. There's probably so much impacted fecal matter inside of him that we're getting rid of right now that his waist is shrinking by the day. So he loves it. He's very compliant. I'll give Lenny one thing. He listens to what you tell him to do, and that's why he's going to get good results. So the experiment's only been going on for 2 weeks now, but I promise you in the next, I bet if we did a measurement of Lenny's waist from when it started, I hope he did the measurement. I told him to do it before and after. To now, or to at least another week or two, we're going to see a big difference. But like I said, that's only just one of the techniques we're using. It's probably one of the most potent techniques. I think that anyone out there who doesn't use a potent dual fiber supplement that contains soluble and insoluble fiber, and that the soluble fiber is coming from psyllium, is a fool. Every person who competes out there, everyone in life should be using it. It's probably my best-selling product aside from my protein now. And the more people that use it, the more people understand, oh my God, why wasn't I using this product? I can't believe it. When I gave it to Lenny's people contacted me the next day. They were like, I can't believe how good this stuff works. And I'm not shocked by that because I have people telling me that all the time. Guy Cisternino is a lifelong customer of mine. He buys it by the truckload because it's very important. If you want to keep a small, tight waist, you got to keep that stuff, the waste products coming out of your body and the toxins. So, like I said, I can't make everyone buy it. Not everyone necessarily can afford it, but you know what? It's worth its weight in gold. If you're wasting your money on supplements that really are not necessary and you're not using a good fiber supplement, you're crazy.
Ball95, now you just did your rant on fasting for bodybuilders. That too is available right now on rxmuscle.com and the YouTube channel. Question from Ball95. Have you heard of the OMAD, 1 meal a day diet? Several fitness icons are beginning to eat this way, claiming many health benefits. I understand this is not all conducive to competitive bodybuilding, but do you think it will be a good diet for the average gym guy looking to maintain a lean, healthy body? By the way, hate the show.
No, I think that these fad diets are ridiculous. They're absurd. I think that there are people out there that sit home and try to figure out kooky things to make people think that their techniques are unique. It's hard to really come up with anything new in the diet world that someone hasn't thought of already. And, when I say the term fad, I mean it's something that'll be around for like 6 months, maybe a year, and then people will just forget about it because they'll realize how ridiculous it is and it doesn't really stick because there's no real science behind it and it's really not. People are trying to just, let's face it, everyone wants to lose weight. Everyone has got problems getting lean and ripped, and people want shortcuts. So people make up these little fad diets. Oh, just do this and it's so easy, you don't have to do anything else. And people jump on it and they'll try it. And then when they realize it's ridiculous and it's not sustainable, they stop. So look, if you stop eating, period, you're going to lose weight. That's a great diet. Just drink water all day. And when you get down to the weight you want, you can start putting food back in. I mean, it's just as ridiculous as that. There's no science there. Okay, so while I think that for the average person, if you're just looking to be healthy, intermittent fasting in the sense that maybe only eat your meals within the hours of 12 to 12 or 10 to 10, so you're only eating 12 hours out of the day, give your body 12 hours to detox, that's healthy. But you can eat 4 or 5 meals, during that time period, that 12-hour time period, very easily. So you don't need to starve yourself to lose weight. You have to know how to adjust the protein, fat, and carbs. Obviously, bringing the carbs lower when you're trying to lose weight, bringing them up a little higher when you're trying to gain weight. Once you master how to manipulate the nutrition in your diet, and once again, these are the things I talk about in the Secrets to Becoming a Diet Guru course. You'll be a master of your body. But when you trying to find fad ways to lose weight and try all these kooky cockamamie things, all you're going to do is confuse yourself and set yourself back, and you're basically setting yourself up for failure. And I don't want to see people fail. I want to see people succeed.
You're watching Ask Dave on rxmuscle.com. Again, the Ask Dave special of the week, AE25. That's the promo code. 25% off Amino Evolved on speciesnutrition.com. The offer is good through Sunday night. The date is on the graphic that's on the screen right now. Due Sunday night, 11:59 p.m. Amino Evolved, 25% off at speciesnutrition.com. Let's go to Big Daddy Jenks. I hate this show more than Steve Blackman hates smooth glutes. Dave, what are the usual milestones you go by to determine if somebody will be ready for a show? Good question here. I've heard things like, quote, visible abs by 8 weeks out and other broisms. I'm curious to know if any coaches put credence in this. So milestones leading into a show, what do you look for?
Nah, I'll tell you why you can't use that. Because I know when I've worked with people for 10 years, 15 years, I have the same clients. And I know what their bodies can do. And I know how fast they get in shape. And people who get in shape really fast, I'm not worried about them showing abs at 8 weeks out because I know that I don't need to pull. If I pull the trigger within 4 weeks, they'll be in shape. So that doesn't really apply to them. You know what I mean? So as long as I'm seeing consistent weight loss, then I'm encouraged and I'm usually okay with it. I pretty much know in my head what a person has to weigh, and I know what the maximum the max you're going to lose per week is going to be anywhere from 2 to 4 pounds. 4 is you hit a home run. That's a tough week to get to 4, but you can lose 2 to 3 pounds a week easily. So if a person has 18 pounds to lose, I know within 10 weeks they should be in shape. Given the fact that their body's continually losing. Now, if people fall behind because they stop losing. They're only losing a half a pound a week or no pounds a week. I have people gain weight on the diet. I don't know how the hell it happens because some of these people I know are not cheating, but it happens. And then I have to make readjustments and I have to reevaluate what I'm giving them. Now, if it's a person I never work with, then I might want to switch up the diet and do something a little more drastic. Or the first thing I usually do to them is I say, well, I want you to write me out a food diary. That means that you're going to put everything down that you're putting into your body, food, liquids, condiments, anything that goes into that mouth over the course of a day. I want it written down at the end of the day. I want you to send it to me. It's called a food diary. I analyze the food diary and I start looking and seeing what they're doing. And a lot of times I catch condiment issues. They're using certain spices or certain sauces that just shouldn't be eaten. There's sugar in them. There's carbs in them. They think they're doing sugar-free ketchup. They think there's no carbs in there, but there's carbs. There's no sugar in sugar-free ketchup. So you catch things that people are doing wrong, and then you correct that, and all of a sudden, boom, the weight loss starts again. So as far as milestones, I don't think that I can give you these specific in-stone dates when you should have this or when you should have that, because everyone's body loses differently. And women usually lose their butt last, whereas men lose their waistline last. So you can't, men and women are different. So to answer the question, no, there's no specific in-stone rules.
We have a great interview right now on rxmuscle.com and the YouTube channel. We interviewed Amin Allah yesterday. He told some great stories about the mid-90s, Craig Titus in particular. So some behind-the-scenes stories on Craig Titus by Amin Allah. That right now is on rxmuscle.com. Let's go to Gonza Bruck. Do I have to do deadlifts to develop a thick back?
You don't have to do anything, but I mean, will it help? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, deads not only thicken the back, they thicken the glutes and hamstrings, adductors. I mean, it's one of these total body mass increasers. So, squats because you're holding all that weight on your back, deadlifts because you're pulling it off the ground. You're using your entire body to do these exercises. So when you're first coming up and you're really trying to add girth and thickness to your physique, they're great exercises. Later in your career, when you start getting a little older and maybe they don't serve you as much and you don't really need that mass anymore, you're looking for refinement, you might be able to phase out deadlifts a little bit more to preserve your lower back. But early in the career, man, that's the bread and butter.
TNT3387, Dave, when are you going to restock on Species Apparel? You guys used to have some of the most awesome tanks and T-shirts.
We have T-shirts and sweatshirts coming in from overseas, actually from your home country, Sid, from Pakistan. Believe it or not.
And you didn't have me do the negotiations?
No, I didn't. I figured that maybe you wouldn't be as harsh as I was. We got a pretty good deal. No, I got a good referral from a friend of mine there, and we're importing some clothes, and we're going to try it out. We'll have them up on the site probably in the next week or two. I wanted to make sure that I got exactly what I was looking for: soft fit shirts, the thin sweatshirts that I like, with all our logos on them and everything like that. So we're going to have some clothing and apparel up on speciesnutrition.com, hopefully within the next 2 weeks by the end of the month. And if it sells well, then we'll look into doing some more stuff.
JS77, Dave, if I'm only taking 2 months off a cycle, do you think a proper PCT is still necessary? Curious because you also said you'll respond better the more shut down you become. So will I respond better on my next cycle from not doing the PCT?
No, you don't want to not do PCT, because what PCT does is it basically reboots your body. It teaches your body, tells your body how to produce hormone again, because you want your body to start turning itself back on. The small amounts that your body is going to produce won't inhibit your body's recovery from a receptor standpoint. So in other words, people are like, oh, maybe I'm better off having no production in my body. No, that's not true, because the amount that your body will naturally produce is very small. So it's not going to, accept or affect receptor regeneration, if that's what you're asking. So no, do your HCG, do your Clomid while you're off, and then stay off another 4 to 6 weeks on nothing. Your body will be producing a little bit of its own at that point, probably not a lot, but that's fine. That will be enough to reset your receptors.
Dave, I want to do oral Winstrol only cycle as a first cycle. What PCT would you recommend, and how long? I'm afraid of getting gyno, even though it doesn't really aromatize.
Yeah, you probably don't need a PCT. You could probably do some Nolvadex or some Clomid for like 3 or 4 weeks, like 50 milligrams a day of Clomid or 10 milligrams twice a day of Nolvadex, and that's probably enough if you want to just guarantee. Or to be honest, you could use my Testalize product, which a lot of people use, 3 pills twice a day. That'll be more than enough, for a Winstrol only cycle. I have guys on their regular, PCT. I have them do HCG, Clomid, and Testalize, because the Testalize balances the DHT and estrogen and testosterone levels. So they kind of approach the turn on your body from a different standpoint.
Eddie Moress, Dave, your thoughts on GAC injections, and he puts in parentheses glutamine, arginine, and carnitine for building muscle and fat loss.
It can't hurt. It can't hurt, especially if you're deficient in any of those things. It's going to certainly help. But if you're not, it probably won't do very much. So once again, I call it a luxury item. If you have extra money and you've already got your stuff that you should be using, your high potency multivitamin, multimineral, your essential fatty acid supplement, your fiber supplement, your extra vitamin D, if you got all that intact and you want to try something else like that, injectable, knock yourself out. I send a lot of people over to Titan Medical at TitanMedicalCenter.com for the injectable aminos that they sell, and they're terrific. But once again, it's a luxury item. These are for people who have extra money and want a little extra edge, okay, and who aren't neglecting the other things that they should be doing first. And so it's important to preface that.
Dave, Dave, when in prep, what are your thoughts when, quote, lead legs hit? I'm assuming it's from overdoing the cardio, but would you recommend switching cardio equipment machines for it and/or manning up and pushing through it?
Yeah, when you're doing a lot of cardio, you're getting ready for a show, your legs feel really dead, and they do get fatigued, a lot of lactic acid. Best thing you can do is get massages. If you really feel wiped out, and you just can't go anymore, take a day off. Sometimes you just need a whole day off from doing nothing. I might mentally screw with you, but you'll probably physically be a lot better off. I always purposely avoided the Stairmaster and the Stepper purposely, because those machines wipe out your legs. Stick with the treadmill, maybe a little elliptical, some stationary bike. Don't do things that are going to wipe your legs out, especially if you don't have strong legs to begin with.
Paul Falbo, Dave, do you have any tips how to feel your upper chest work when doing incline dumbbell flies? I sometimes feel it more in my outer pecs and front delts.
I used to, and I've told people this before, if you're taking shots of like testosterone or something like that, put a little bit in like a 1 cc insulin pen and put like a half cc in each upper pec on each side. And when you go to the gym, what it'll do is it's not going to build any muscle that way, but it's going to inflame that area and you'll feel it more. So you actually have a better mind-muscle connection to that area. And I always found that I got better workouts, and it really helped me a lot with building my upper inner pecs.
Horton Fitness says we should have Tom Platz on. We have had him on, and we definitely would explore that again. Dan Pitsis, I've had a 2.5-year layoff from all training, diet, PEDs, but for the past 3.5 months, I've been back training daily and eating 6 meals a day. I plan to do a show in 22 weeks. And was wondering if I should start a cycle now to help add on some more size, or wait until I'm 16 weeks out and blast into the show. What do you recommend?
I always say start it well before, while you're still in the off season, and then kind of just transition into your contest prep, because you want to get the stuff working while you're still eating food. You don't want to have to try to play catch up, when you're starting to diet, because when you're dieting, you're restricting food. You want to have the stuff, the gear in your system while you're eating a lot of food, so if you need to put some muscle on and your body wants to build some muscle, you have the extra nutrients to do that.
Good one here. Actually, there are a couple of questions that are about you, about your past experiences. So let's start with this one. It's from Rob MT. My question, what other sport do you think you would have done if you hadn't taken a walk down the iron path all those years ago?
You know, I was a pretty good soccer player. I kind of, I don't know, got lazy with it, and I got hooked on the running thing. The thing about running was I didn't really know about anabolic steroids. I didn't know that guys were using performance-enhancing drugs. So who knows how good I would have been. You know, I wasn't world class, but I was winning meets in Division III running. So, I mean, could I have competed at Division I if I was on gear? Probably. So who knows? That would have been interesting. I always was very good at football, and I think my parents steered me away from it because I had an eye injury when I was a kid. I don't know. They probably bamboozled me into not doing it because I was always playing soccer while football season was going on. So I would have liked to see how good I could have been at football because I kind of had natural ability and I was very aggressive. That would have been fun. I probably would have gotten hurt and it would have ruined my whole athletic career. So I always believe you go where you're supposed to go. But, you know, I was very aggressive as an athlete coming up. I probably had a lot of natural testosterone in my body. So that would have been fun. But, yeah, it would have been interesting to see how far I could have gone in running if I knew about gear and stuff like that. Because, you know, there is a science of that as well. But, you know what? Like I said, you wind up where you're supposed to be.
We'll squeeze one in before the other question is pertaining to you. It's from Excellent 187. Dave, I'm a natural athlete, and I tend to lose a lot of muscle when cutting for shows. I want to know what's the key to losing body fat and retaining muscle. What I've been doing is dropping my calories and carbs, increasing my cardio, but keeping my protein high. I was under the assumption that if my protein is still high, despite dropping carbs and calories, I should be maintaining muscle mass. What does calorie and carb reduction have on muscle loss?
Yeah, I think one of the ingredients, and if I'm going to bring it up, and if you notice, he didn't mention one time how much fat he was eating because most natural guys don't eat any fat. And that's the worst thing. If you're a natural, all your steroidal hormones are made from fat, cholesterol. If you don't eat any like red meat, and if you don't eat any fat in your diet, okay, you're going to be hormonally deficient, and you can't make up for it by taking a shot because you're natural. So natural athletes really need to be very diligent about their fatty acid intake and make sure they take in enough fats. Now, the great thing about fats is they can be stored, so they don't need to necessarily be taken in every day, but you certainly should be on a product like Omega-Lyze, 3 pills twice a day. You should be taking in your macadamia nut oil daily. You should be varying your fat sources with some saturated fat, whole eggs, a little bit of red meat. You want to get a lot of polyunsaturates like your macadamia nut oil and your extra virgin olive oils. And you want to get some a variety of different sources of fat, whether it be from salmon, okay, so you get your omega-3 fats, or evening primrose oil, nuts, which have a lot of omega-6 fats in them. You got to vary that, and you got to know how to put that together properly because hormonally, you want to optimize what your body's doing. If you don't give your body the raw materials to make these hormones, you're going to be deficient. And if you're going to be deficient in testosterone, you're going to lose muscle. And that's a big mistake I think a lot of natural guys make.
We'll take one more. It's from Boat Garrett. Dave, what's so different about the pro scene these days where someone with your physique back in the day didn't get a pro card, yet people not as impressive as you today are getting theirs?
Well, I mean, you got to remember they're giving out more pro cards today too. There's a lot more opportunities, especially in the masters level. They got 35 and over, which is really not that old. They're giving top 2 spots at the nationals to each weight class. I mean, there's more pro cards being given out. When I was competing, especially in the 90s, it was almost impossible to get a pro card. If you earned your pro card in the 90s, you were awesome. And that's why, we take our hats off to all those pros in the 90s because these guys, they fought tooth and nail to get their pro cards, And a lot of these guys, there was top 5s at the nationals in the heavyweight class that every one of those guys, could have gotten their pro card and then eventually did down the road. But they had to wait 4 or 5 years because there were so many guys before them. So I think that's the difference. If I was competing today, I probably would have gotten a pro card because there would have been more opportunities for me. I placed second 2-3 times at the national level. I would have definitely got my pro card at least twice. So it is what it is. I don't think the talent pool is necessarily worse. I just think that there's more opportunities to get your pro card. So guys that maybe are not as talented are able to get their pro card nowadays, whereas in the past that just wasn't the case.
That's going to do for this episode of Ask Dave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Again, the Ask Dave offer of the week. If you go on speciesnutrition.com from now through 11:59 p.m. Sunday night, that's February 11th, use the promo code AE25, get 25% off Amino Evolved, our newest product, AE25 for 25% off. Heavy Muscle TV is back tomorrow. Big Lenny, Greg Valentino, Boston Lloyd, John Romano, and of course Dave tomorrow on rxmuscle.com. For our producer Tyler Shore and Dave Palumbo, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you next time.